So, a very good evening and welcome along to this week's buying guide to whiskey. It is this week, Marty.
Yes,
Do we need a buying guide to whiskey?
you most assuredly do, Justin. Things have changed. Things have moved on a pace from the good old days,
Right. So, it's not as simple as getting 20 quid off your grandfather and going down the office and buying what you feel like, is it?
Not anymore. Not as I say. But this was basically back in the day. It was the only option you had. You went down to the office, you picked up a bottle of Bells or whatever, and you bought it, and that was really the only options you had. So these days, obviously, the same as everything else, the how people buy things has all totally changed, and people are becoming much more informed. They're becoming much pickier. They are, well, they're really looking for different things. So the days of just wanting to go and buy a bottle of whiskey, sit at home or go to a party and drink it, it's kind of totally changed. Totally changed. And so I'm here tonight to explain the new different buying options, what to buy, what it is you're actually paying for, the different options of what different amounts of whiskey you can buy, and then also what's collectible stuff, because there's lots of people wish to collect whiskies, and there's kind of things that you should look for. Okay.
Okay. Now, where are we going to start? Are we going to start with in real life or online first?
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to start with real life. It used to be you just had an off license, normally attached to a pub. Now you have supermarkets. Supermarkets have come in on the act. Lots of them have their own brands. They don't own distilleries, so what they do is they buy in stock from actual established distilleries. But they'll have special offers. They will have supermarket exclusives. Normally they'll have them where they can be at a very good price, especially the budget supermarkets. And I'm thinking of Aldi and Lidl, for example.
Now, you said to me previously that some of these supermarket ones aren't actually too bad for the money.
Absolutely not. I'll give you an example. The Ben Bracken, the Islay Ben Bracken, Islay being sort of obviously the I think it's sort of the spiritual homeland of Scotch whisky. That's actually a 5-year-old Bowmore. Bowmore's a very well respected Islay distillery, and in some regards, certainly at the price point, the supermarket, the Lidl own brand, the Ben Bracken brand, is better than what the actual distillery has been releasing. Some of their recent releases haven't been that good. And whoever is doing the cask selection is doing a really, really good job. Really good job. So again, at the price point, it's very good. There's no two ways about that. But this was on offer this week. This is from the West Cork distillery, as you can see on the label. And this is a virgin oak cask finished at 43%. And this was on sale this week in Lidl. Now there was two different versions of it in up here in the north. In the south, there was three different versions, basically just released as a kind of as an exclusive in the supermarket. Really well priced, going like that, going really, really quick. You had to be very quick. I like to thank my good friend Bert for picking this one up for me. So I got him to pick it up for me, because by the time I got to my local Lidl, it was gone. So you have to be sort of sharp with some of these,
Well, Larnians know how to spot a bargain. Listen, people have joined us already tonight. Stanley Sung has joined us. Hi to you. Trevor Watson saying hello from Fermanagh. But Sean O'Neill is rightly pointing out that West Cork is used for supermarket branded whiskey. Yes, that's what we're talking about first tonight. It's the buyer's guide, and is the supermarket stuff any good? And some of it ticks all the boxes.
some of it, put it like this, the supermarkets, they buy such huge volume that they're able to sell it at a reasonable price. The margins aren't probably that good, but you can pick up some really good bargains. You can pick up some really good bargains in supermarkets. Again, it's not probably the best place to buy the quality stuff, but it's certainly an option. You know, you can go in and pick it up, and it's they have a better range now than they would have done a few years ago. So that's the supermarkets. Now, off licenses, you have the big off license chains where they basically sell pretty much the same stuff. You know, they don't tend to have a massive variety of whiskies. They'll have tie-ins with the distributors and stuff. So the range of the bigger wine marks and this kind of thing, they can be okay, but probably not great, to be honest, because they tie up by the wholesalers and distributors. The independent or the specialist ones are where you would really get the good stuff, where you would really get stuff that is real top quality. You will pay for it. That's fair enough. But
now, those sort of independent off licenses, they're few and far between now.
They kind of are, but there are still some of them about. And I'm thinking if you're in Dublin, certainly the Celtic Whisky shop down near Marion Square. I'm trying to think of the address, Lincoln Place, I think it is. You have the Vineyard in Belfast, up the Ormo Road, the Friend at Hand down near the Duke of York. I'm thinking of Sipsters over in White Abbey. I've mentioned them a few times. Wine Pig online. The Lincoln Whisky Shop, the Royal Mile Whisky Shop. These are national ones who will send them across, and they have fabulous ranges. A lot of them will have independent bottlers that you can't buy anywhere else other than in these shops. So the likes of Cadenheads, which is an independent bottler, they will have whiskies that you just can't get in any other shop, and they'll tend to be slightly quirky. Again, you're going to pay for it, but it's a little bit special. So the independents, there are plenty of them about. You just need to maybe go a little bit out of your way to go and get them, you know?
Okay. Now, the questions are coming thick and fast tonight already. I don't know whether you've got the laptop on there or not, but because the signal is going up and down like Billy O here. We're down to one bar now at the minute, but we've been asked a couple of questions. You're maybe going to answer them later on tonight, as this is a buyer's guide. Frank Heron has asked, how do you feel about investors buying whiskey? Is it not made to be drunk and enjoyed?
Yes, we'll come to that a little bit later on. We'll come to that a little bit later on about investing in whiskey and stuff. As I say, at the minute we'll just do the where you can buy it just for the minute, and we'll get back to that a little bit later on. Okay.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Noted. If you want to get involved, remember to comment, like, and share. Go on the main ulsterwhiskey.com Facebook page. You can comment, like, share, and interact on that page. Whereas if you post a message on another repost, we don't necessarily get to see it. Actually, we don't, unless we'll look later on. And it goes that many places, this, because you're talking 2,000-3,000 people watching this during the week. I can't look up all the things. Are you in something different tonight too? I'm in something different tonight too. It's that summery feeling tonight.
Yes. I'm on the Guinness.
All right, that's just a little vodka and lemonade there tonight. It's very summery tonight. I don't know about you, but it's in the heading towards the mid double figures tonight here. Although it's got a bit cooler now.
It's very close. You know, it's all sort of sticky, clammy. It's not very pleasant today at all. You know.
Well, listen, we've had another question. We'll maybe point out that if you do put a question in, Terry Donnelly has, it appears on screen like this here, and we can answer it. Now, this is a thing that I seen last night in the Bushmills virtual banquet thing. Why did they stop making Bushmills Irish honey? I hear it was expensive to make. It was a lovely tipple. I must agree with Terry. It is a lovely tipple.
Yeah, I don't know why it'll be a commercial decision. They probably weren't selling that much of it. To be honest, it wouldn't have been my cup of tea, but I don't have a sweet tooth, so wouldn't be my thing. But They probably pulled it because the sales weren't great. The one thing that Bushmills really used to do well was the Irish cream. Diageo, when they had it, they basically pulled the Irish cream because it was so good that it was a sort of threat to Bailey's, to be honest. And they bought it and they sort of pulled it. But the honey one, it would be a commercial decision, and that's unfortunately, Terry. That's why they done that. You know.
Okay. So back to tonight. The buying guide to whiskey.
Now online, you have obviously Amazon selling everything. Amazon sells everything under the sun. I know a few people who thought that buying alcohol online was illegal. It's not. You can do it in the UK. You can't do it in the US. Obviously, they're very strict about buying whiskey and stuff over there.
Well, I actually know the answer to this, Marty. Way back in 1994, 1995, I did my dissertation on Northern Ireland small business internet users. And actually, I think one of the first, if not the first, online retailer for booze was in Northern Ireland.
Innovative as well. Like, when you're buying online, there are lots of specialist whiskey shops that basically they sell other spirits, but they're budgeting themselves, or they're pitching themselves as whiskey specialists. So you have a couple of local ones as well. But Amazon do what Amazon do. Every so often they've got an absolutely fabulous offer. You know, you'll pick up a bottle of Redbreast 12 for about £35. And I know loads of people are very anti-Amazon, but you don't look a gift horse in the mouth, you know. You just can't. But so you have to keep aware of that too. But if you go to Drinks Direct, Masters of Malt, I got an order through from them the other day. The Whisky Exchange and IrishMalts.com, they kind of specialise in Irish whiskies. So they're a fairly new. They're not open that terribly long, but they have really good range, and you can buy a couple of whiskies there that they'll be hard. You would be hard to find in other places. So Irish Malts, Malt Masters, or Master of Malt, sorry. There's a few other ones as well. But these will have very good selections, and well worth checking those out. Okay.
Now, Marty, you're getting criticised tonight. You know the way we did the special on the glasses the other week. There, the glass makes a whiskey. Right? You ready for this? Right? This is Brona in Londonderry, Stroke City, the Northwest Foyle side. She is saying you have to pour Guinness.
Brona, it's only Guinness. It doesn't have to be too much respect. It's pretty much perfect whatever way you want to have it. As I said, you can have whatever you want, whatever way you like it. I like Guinness.
David Woodhouse is saying why is Marty drinking his Guinness from the tin? Get a glass. There you go. That's you've been told. That's you've been told. You know?
But no, I do love. I don't chill my Guinness either. I can't for the life of me understand why people chill it. In the absence of a draft Guinness, it's yeah. And I can't wait to go get a pint of draft Guinness. Honestly, it just.
I know. It doesn't really do it justice. Alistair Minutes, he's actually not. He's just saying, "Evening, gents. Missed last week." Alistair, if you look down below us, scroll down, get a 12-year-old. Well, actually, get somebody over 18 because this is about booze. Get a 12-year-old. Scroll down that way. So pull up and scroll down, and you'll find the video down below us there. Yeah, it's like it's a repeat.
Oh my! Get us some catch up.
Yeah, it's called catch up or plus. It's actually not +1. It's called +1 week or 24 times 7 or whatever it is. So
no.
Listen, Brona sent the boys down to get you. She's saying, "Wise up, Marty."
I know Brona's two boys do jiu-jitsu, and they come down and beat up Ballymena folk all the time. So But while her boy was out beating up Ballymena folk, I had to take her out and get her to climb Slimish.
All right. Very good, very good. Listen, we've been asked other questions, so remember this if I forget it, because that many come in that I sometimes don't get back to them. Julie Mason is saying, she's saying, are there certain whiskey brands that increase in value over others? So we'll come back to the investment later on, I think, is the answer to that. Yeah.
We'll do that later on. I want to sort of talk a bit at the minute about what it is, where you can buy these things, and then move on to what it is you're buying, and then sort of finish up with the investing and collectible stuff and whatnot. Now, so we done off-license supermarkets online. The big one that's growing really, really quick now is auctions. People have been trading whiskey at auctions now for a period of time. And it's got to a point now in 2018 that over $50 million of whiskey was bought at auction. Yeah, so this is an area now where you can spend an awful lot of money, but there's lots of stuff pops up that's really reasonable value for things that are a bit different, things to try, aren't going to be hugely expensive. What I'm really thinking about there's some old bottles, maybe from the 1980s, 1990s. You pick those up for about 30, 40 pounds, and they're not that expensive. And it's nice to have something that is different, something kind of unique. Certainly, you'll probably not have tasted it, except if you did taste it 30, 40 years ago. And so you have something that you can compare with something today. There's lots of these now being traded. So it is worth checking out the whiskey auctions. But do remember, if you buy a bottle, you have to pay the auction fees on top of that. You'll have to pay for shipping, and you'll also have to pay insurance. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've been hit with the tax from the States as well.
And if you're doing it in the States, then obviously there's that as well. There's lots of.
Why do they not take gift? Why do they not take gift? Come on, even the Chinese take gift.
Yes, but the American people are very honest, Justin. They're very, very straight and honest, and so that's why
they need a good slap. All they need to do is take gift, and the IRS doesn't know anything else.
Not that I'm casting aspersions on the good people of the Republic of China either, but what I'm saying, but no, there's lots of auction sites locally, certainly within the UK and Ireland, that you can pick up decent bottles. If you want to add to a collection or whatever, you can look at bottles that are vintage bottles. Bottles are expensive. Possibly buy a bottle from, I don't know, the year your daughter was born, or that kind of thing, which makes it nice.
Yeah, that's a lovely idea. We're getting lots more questions in. We'll run through some of these, Marty, because we're. Alistair Minnis says, "I'll have a wee look out for last week's." Thank you very much for that, Alistair. Yes, I'm just telling you, they're all on there. Been on a journey tonight. Glen Scotia, 19-year-old, Bushmills, 21-year-old, Kingsbarn Dream to Dram, and now the Aldi 26-year-old Irish Reserve. What about that for selection? That's a star lineup.
Alistair, you're doing really well there. Glen Scotia is, all the Campbelltown whiskies are fabulous. I think they're so underrated. Fabulous. Kingsbarn. I tried Kingsbarn. What Kingsbarn did I try last year? Very banana, very, very like sort of rich, thick banana. It's lovely. It's really, really, really good too. And the 26-year-old Irish Reserve from Aldi, well, it's a single malt, so it comes from Bushmills. Mm-hmm. So the 26-year-old Bushmills for, I think it was 40, 45 pounds. No brainer. Yeah. Super.
Super. I think Alistair must live in Donaghadee. That looks like Donaghadee lighthouse there, and obviously they never built the arch over to the other pier. That's why the pier is disconnected from the rest of it. They're getting a camera obscura in Donaghadee. You know, there's one opening up at the Folly.
Didn't know that. Didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go. Looking forward to that when this lockdown's finally over. This is like week 12, and it's like being locked in the Big Brother house, isn't it?
I've made more phone calls to people in the last 12 weeks than I have in the last 12 years. I seem to spend my entire life with the phone stuck in my ear, you know. But,
Oh boy! Oh boy!
good,
Oh boy!
good selection tonight. Now,
Where were we?
where are we? I was talking about where you buy. So as I say, auctions are a good place to buy if you want something a bit unusual or you want to start a collection. But just do remember about the fees, because you can buy a bottle that you think's quite reasonable, but once the fees and stuff come on, it does churn up. So it does.
And these auctions, there are online exclusively ones, but there's ones that are auction houses, and they also have online bidding as well now, don't they?
They can, yeah. So the likes of Victor Me auctions and that kind of thing, they occasionally they'll have even just a few bottles in a general auction, and then the likes of the big guys, you know, like Christie's and Sotheby's, they will do just an exclusive whiskey auction, but do be put off by the price because it's just, I mean, some of these bottles are unbelievable prices, unbelievable prices. That's
Oh boy! So some of the message tonight, Marty. I mean, we should actually put this out on Twitter as memes. Listen, David Graham says, if you insist on drinking Guinness directly from the can the exorcist will have to pay you a visit to relieve you of your whiskey. Drink it from the can again for badness.
this is the Exorcist. This is the man who makes all my spirits disappear. I haven't been speaking to him for a number of weeks now, but David, you can come over anytime. Anytime you can come down.
Now, Alistair's saying the Springbank is amazing.
I cannot tell people enough. If you've never been to Springbank and tried some of the Springbank, the whole of Campbelltown is really, really good on its own, but Springbank's fabulous stuff, and it ticks all the boxes for people who are a bit of whiskey nerds like myself. They do, but the most modern thing in Springbank's the light bulbs. Everything's still done by hand. It's just, I mean, it's just ridiculous, to be honest. They haven't modernized in any way, and the stuff they make is just super lovely, creamy most of the time. They do the Hazelburn, which is essentially it's basically an Irish whiskey, if you like, and then they do the Kilkieran and that kind of stuff, and it's just amazing. It's just fabulous. Long Row is their peated one, and it's really heavily peated, but it doesn't have that chemical taste that some of the Islay ones do. It is fabulous. Yep, absolutely agree.
Yes. Now,
You
were mentioning
we're
there.
going to move on and talk about what it is you're actually buying when you buy a bottle of whiskey.
Now, I want to go to some of
to demonstrate
the questions first, Marty.
I'm going to use a bottle of the Pogues, which I bought the other day, a single malt from the legendary band. Now, I opened this the other day, took a little one out of it, and least said, sooner spended, I think is probably the best way of putting that. Now, tax on whiskey. When you buy a bottle of whiskey, this was £22, so can't really expect very much from it. Anyway, when you buy a bottle of whiskey in the UK, you have to pay your alcohol duty. Now, the way it's charged is it's charged at a price per litre of pure alcohol. So this is at 40%, and it's a 70 cl bottle. So by the time you do the calculations out, £8.04 in tax on alcohol tax just on this bottle. But then you have to add on, in the Republic of Ireland, it's €42.57. So when you buy this bottle, you then have to pay 20% VAT on the top of it. In the Republic, it's 23%. So all the taxes on this, that's £10.50 for this one bottle in tax. So if you imagine this bottle's filled, you're paying to about here this tax. Now, from what's left, I mean, it's almost half the price of this. I mean, £11.50 is what has to be the bottle, the design, the transportation, the manufacturing, people's wages, all of that all has to come out of that £11.50. And it's from Master of Malt. So Master of Malt have to make a profit on it. The pugs will be getting a kick out of it. And I think it comes from West Cork. I think that's probably where it comes from. But spirit tax raises well in excess of £3.5 billion a year in the UK, which is more than air passenger duty, to give you an idea.
Wow.
Yeah. So, as I say, people talk about petrol and the taxes that are on fuel and so on and so forth. Tax on spirits is really, really, really punitive. Really punitive. The Republic of Ireland have the second highest spirits tax in Europe, after Finland. Most other countries, the whiskey is much cheaper. So again, it's you're buying a bottle of whiskey for £17-18. You have to remember £10.50 of that is tax. So how good's the quality of spirit going to be? You do have to think. It's probably not.
You do have to think about it.
Yeah, well, put it like this: if you're buying a bottle at £17 or £18, the quality of spirit's probably not going to be that good. If you buy a bottle at £25, £26, the next tenner, but it's probably they have a lot more play in terms of cask selection and making a profit out of this. So if you're going for sort of £25, it's probably a better investment than the stuff at the cheaper end. Not saying that the stuff at the cheaper end, if that's what you like, that's what you like. But it is worth putting an extra few pound to it, and you're getting an awful lot better quality spirit, So, as I say, about half of this bottle is tax. So it is. But I tasted this the other day, and I wasn't overly impressed, to say the least. Yeah,
I always preferred Kirsty McCall.
This is a Kruger and Greer, and because this is at 56%. Okay, this is at 56%. There's even more tax on this because of the way it's calculated out. It's charged as the amount of alcohol. So there's over £11. There's about £11.50 the tax on this one bottle, which to me it seems high. It seems very punitive, especially whenever you consider the whiskey trade in Scotland generates almost £6 billion a year for the Scottish economy. It's a huge. I mean, it only has 5.5-6 million people in Scotland.
Fantastic.
Huge industry.
Like, tell me this, 40 quid, you should have got two of them.
For 40 quid, I should have got what?
Two of them.
For 40 quid for what? What did I say?
That was the special offer.
That was a few years ago. But don't forget, I had to send away. I had to get a girl to pick me that up in England. Because we don't have Aldi up here, Justin. And by the time I was all the way to Dublin, not there.
here's what's I've got about here. Two of my children, of them was older, 15, 13 now.
I have a 13. I think I maybe have a 13. I like that. I like the idea of having a whiskey from sort of the year that your kid was born in. If you don't open it, it never goes off, So if you have a 21-year-old whiskey and buy it for their birthday kind of thing, I like that. It's a bit of the nerd in me, Now, where are we? Now, we've sort of covered the price. Now, obviously, the price of the whiskey is really going to be dependent on the tax is a factor of it, plus all the economic factors of production. When I've said this before, but it does need to be sort of reiterated every so often. The longer a whiskey's kept, the less of it you have. So you have to pay for the cask, and some of the casks, for real good quality casks, you can pay a fair whack of money. You could be talking thousands of pounds for real top quality cask. You have to pay the insurance, you'll have to pay the security on it, you'll have to pay, provide fire protection, because obviously if it catches fire, it's a disaster. And all of those costs are annual costs, and you're getting less and less and less every year. So it's almost like an exponential thing, that the longer you keep it, the less of it you have. Now, occasionally you'll see whiskies that are really aged, and they're bottled at like 41.4%. And the reason that they've bottled it at that is because if it dips below 40%, it's useless. You can't have it. It's not actually whiskey anymore. It has to be 40% above. So occasionally, and this happens an awful lot more in Scotland than it does in Ireland, because they don't tend to have very old whiskies in Ireland. There only is very little of it. So you'll see ones at like 41.5%. But the reason they've bottled it is they can't keep it any longer. But these tend to be quite expensive because of the age value of them. Okay. Now, buying sizes of whiskey. You can buy miniatures. Now, I bought this. What you do is, if you don't want to buy a full bottle, some of the online guys, and even some of the bars now, who have their own brand of whiskey, their own bottling of whiskey, you can buy these miniatures. It's just little ones from the Tipperary distillery. What is it called? Knockmeal Downs. So you can buy one of these, and it's sealed with wax at the top, because miniatures tend to leak quite a lot. I'll just open this actually. I'll have this. So you can try one of these without buying a full bottle. I think this was maybe £6 or something.
Surely that could
it's not very expensive.
Effective.
47%. So it's not very expensive. You get to try a whiskey, see whether or not you like it. If you do like it, happy days. You can then buy a bottle. So it's nice to be able to do that. And if you go on to, as I say, the likes of Masters of Malt, they give you a fairly healthy range of stuff that they will put into that themselves. Obviously, you can buy the little 50 milliliter miniatures. Most distilleries have some of these at the distillery. So if someone buys you that, for example, and brings it over, you can have them. But do be careful if you want to keep them for a long time. The seals on those tend not to be as good, and they tend to leak quite badly. So you'll see the neck fill going down quite drastically. So if you buy the ordinary miniature with a little metal cap, probably don't keep it too long, because it will start to go down quite rapidly. The likes of that with the wax seal on the top, you can keep that because it's sealed in so well. So you can buy the miniatures. You can also buy, obviously, full bottles, half bottles, etc., etc. Now, we were talking earlier on about investing in whiskey. What you can do is you can buy it all the way up to a full cask of whiskey from a distillery. Lots of the distilleries, when they are starting off, obviously they need a revenue stream, they need money to come in. And what they'll try and do is they try and sell off some casks. Now, some of these can be, well, they can be quite expensive, but you will own your own cask. So if you go online, there's a few of them that are doing this currently. Some of the new startup Irish whiskies, and they're the ones that they're offering you a cask. You buy it, and then they keep it down there and they age it. Now you can. Some of them have different spirits. You can have a pot still or a single malt or that kind of thing. Then you put it into whatever cask that they offer, and they'll put it down for you. There's a few things you have to be very wary of. If you buy a cask, you will have to pay VAT on it when it comes time for you to use it. Okay, whenever you want to bottle it or whatever. When they sell you the cask, that is literally them just selling you the liquid in the cask. Again, every year it's held in bond, and it has to be held in their warehouse. It losses to 2%. So after
Would you
10
say
years,
it's not
you
transparent?
probably have lost
Marty?
about 15% of the volume. So you take it, it's a 200 litre cask, you'll have lost about 30 litres in 10 years. I'll give you an example. There's a couple of distilleries, the Irish ones, that are selling on their sites, and they're about €6,000 for 200 litres. When it comes to you bottling it, you'll have to pay for the bottling, you'll have to pay for the label. You'll then have to pay VAT on that when you buy it. You'll also have to pay if you want to sell it in the bottles. You need a whole range of licenses, but they can be a great thing for you to label. You can buy it for a wedding present or something like that. You could potentially sell it to like an independent bottler in the barrel, etc., etc. But do keep in mind that it will prove quite expensive, but the price per bottle will come down. Price per bottle will
Do you
come
think
down
it's not as
to
transparent as
probably
it
about
should be, Marty?
£25 a bottle. From a 200 litre cask, you'll probably, if you bottle it at 40%, you'll probably get around 200 and something bottles out of it. Now, bear with me, have a cask. Sitting down, as you can see, down in Ecklandville, Dunvilles, I own cask
Whoa.
1355. Now, it's got the little seated and it's signed by the owner and the master distiller. So I have that down there. It's a pot still, and it's in a bourbon cask. It's only been there a year. I bought it last year. I'll probably not bother worrying too much about it for a considerable period of time. But the reason I bought it, I think Ecklandville will be one of the. I think it's going to be an extremely good collectible whiskey. I love what they do. I've said that many times. So I think it's an investment. I probably would have it and can sell the cask. If you get a really good cask and you wish to sell it to an independent bottler at some point in the future, you could make reasonably good money. You could really make good money. But it's a chance you take. It's the same as every other investment.
Now, Marty, what do you think? Could it be more transparent? Yeah,
What's going to be more transparent? What? I mean,
there's all these things.
The distilleries tell you that they make it clear that this is what you'll have to pay, but there's a headline figure of what you buy, and it's the same as everyone else. People read see the headline, maybe don't just look at it. But if you think you're going to bottle it and then sell it, you need all range of licenses to do that. Not just anybody can sell alcohol. So it's just something to be wary of. I have my bottle sitting or my cask sitting down there. I've no idea what I'm really going to do with it. But it's just sitting down there and it's aging away nicely, aging away.
Okay, Shane Shirley is direction and have
Hope you're enjoying it. Hope you're enjoying it. Now, another way of investing in whiskey, or another way of buying whiskey and investing in it, is they have a unit trust with this stuff. And some of these make fairly big claims. You can make 15 to 20% per year, all this kind of stuff. Be very wary of all of that. I'm always highly skeptical when I see an ad and all it says is boom, 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 10, 15, 20% return. No. There is plenty of money to be made at it, but it's a way of doing it that it's the same as everyone else. You really need to trust whoever it is you're going to give your money to, and really do your homework on it, because it can go up as well as down. But there are people building portfolios, if you like, of whiskey, and whenever you see the price of some of the whiskies, well, it's not hard to see why. You can have bottles. If you wanted to spend £10,000 on a bottle of whiskey, you've got an awful lot of choice, a huge amount of choice. Recently, I was told I had the honour of being put into a raffle, where what I would have to do is put €1,000 deposit down via a credit card, and if I was the lucky guy who was chosen, the €1,000 would be taken, and I would have 7 days to stump up another €34,000 to buy a bottle of Irish whiskey. Yeah, needless to say, I didn't bother entering. I didn't think it was. I didn't think at €35,000. I thought it was a bit much. Now, so the unit trust. Another thing to be wary of, if you have a whiskey cask, you could be subject to capital gains tax as well. So that's another thing you'd have to, if you do decide to sell it and stuff. So just again, same as everyone else, do your homework. Okay.
We're having difficulty. I'm sound like a dialect reason. It's beyond our control. I've changed microphones, but Marty can still just about make me out. Yeah.
I can just about hear you.
No. We've had quite a lot of people. Remember, if you want to follow Marty's blog, he's going to put out periodically. Actually, go to this site here and sign up for the mailer. Simple as that. We'll put in the actual guide thing as well, so you can click on it directly as well. It should be able to do that for you, and you should be able to see it. Click on it here in the comments on the site. So there it is. Here you should be able to click that. All right, pointing so you should work out.
Just to interrupt you there a wee bit. Tomorrow I review this for the Sunday Life. So my column in the Sunday Life, I review this tomorrow. See what you can see what I think about it. Yeah. See that.
People can
5 review.
Well, they can, as I say, they can go on any of these websites and buy any of the stuff that's available. I'll say Kirker and Greer, Belfast, formerly Belfast-based. This is a company, Drinksology, who set this up, and they are bonders essentially. They buy stock from other places and mix it up and put it together. Now,
You've got to read this one. It sounds like you're out of
no, is it tinny or something, is it?
Yeah, I sound crazy. Like I'm
You're breaking up there, Justin, my old friend. You're breaking up. I'll just tell you what. All right. So I'm coming through loud and clear, just not you, Justin. That seems to be the problem. You need to buy a decent phone, you know. Oh no. Right. Collecting. He's going to wreck the place. Now, when you're collecting whiskey, there are really, you can pick them up lots of different places. You can pick them up certainly in auction. Sometimes people have bottles that they've saved up or have sitting about, etc., etc., etc. Kind of what to collect is the same as every other collectible. You want to collect stuff that's either rare, stuff that is released annually as sort of special editions and that kind of thing. One of the big things that's collected, certainly in Irish whiskey, is the Middleton Very Rare. They release a bottle of this every year. This is the old style bottle, and it's limited edition. It's limited to about 36,000 bottles a year. It's not really all that limited, but as I say, this comes out. It's very collectible. If you had a full collection of this, you would have probably about £60,000 worth of whiskey, probably more than that now. They changed the styling of the bottle 2 years ago, so it is something that's very collectible. So again, when you're buying these, there's a few things to look for. You look for the neck fill, where it's filled up to in the neck. And if this starts to go down, if it goes down below here, the price of it just drops through the floor, really. This is the 2008 bottling. You look for damage on the label. You want to check and make sure that everything up here is all sealed. Make sure that's perfect. And I don't know whether anybody watching this is going to be affected by this. A thing you have to watch out for now is copying or forgery. Because some of these whiskies now have become so collectible and so valuable, there are people now buying the old bottles. If you go onto eBay, you will see old bottles, empty bottles for sale. And people are buying these, filling them with any old nonsense, and resealing them to sell. So if you're getting a real bargain, do be wary. You know, same as everything else. Yeah. Now, I'm going to show you something really special. Right, this would be the sort of the pride of my collection. Okay, this ticks all the boxes for collectible whiskey. Okay, and the good thing is it's Irish. It's global. Okay, now this bottle is from the old Cumber Distillery, which closed in 1953. So this is a 7-year-old whiskey. So the latest that this was bottled was 1960. Okay. The neck fill's perfect. The label's lovely and crisp and clear. The distillery's closed for almost 70 years now. It is probably the best and most collectible bottle I have. When you're buying stuff like this, you need to take care of this. This needs to be wrapped up. So I normally have it sitting in plastic and in bubble wrap. So you're very lucky I brought this out. It cost a fair bit of money, but it's pretty much perfect. There's not many of these about. As I say, these are not very collectible or not very common. So I don't know. There hasn't been one of these sold at an auction, certainly recently. So I don't know what it's at. I don't know what it would be worth. But this is the highlight of my collection. So I need to keep the label perfect, and obviously the neck fill and stuff has to be A1. So that is really what you're looking to buy. You're looking to buy stuff that is rare. If it's from a closed distillery, very good. If it's a special edition, all of these things will affect the price. Certain distilleries command an awful lot higher a price than others. Macallan in Scotland is really the big dad. It's the daddy of the lot. Lots of collectors from Macallan. The prices that they command are huge, huge prices. So again, with all the new distilleries coming online in Ireland, you'll start to see lots of special editions, one-offs, higher end stuff, and if you can get your hands on the first bottlings, the sort of entry bottlings, they're always going to be worth money. So yeah. Now I can see Julie is asking, unfortunately in Texas, whiskey cannot be shipped directly to customers. You have to buy it from a store, and I hope that they can order a whiskey you may have an interest in. Yeah, excellent. So is that a state law or an American thing? Little Wolf. It depends on the state. There are quite a few that you can get spirits shipped directly to customers in the US. So I'm finding out that in the US you can, in some states, get stuff shipped over. I think a lot of the time it is it's probably less common than it would be over here. So there's lots of options, but the
Lots of variations from jurisdiction to jurisdiction.
that's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like. So
So,
that is collectibles.
is that more or less it?
I'm sort of struggling to hear you. We've got technical issues, Justin. Technical issues. I'm sort of struggling to hear you. But no, if you do decide to start collecting whiskey, you do have lots of ways of doing it, lots of things. But again, if you're doing it for an investment or to try and make some money, it can be quite hard. Because again, lots of this stuff is getting bought up by the likes of these unit trusts and stuff, and you can see where all that's going. Frank asked earlier on about people collecting whiskey versus people drinking it. It is basically, I wouldn't drink that Cumber bottle, mainly because the price of it. If I was to try and replace that, I probably couldn't get it. There are a few. I mean, I have a first edition Macallan concept in there. I have a couple of them actually, and it probably doubled in price within no time at all. I have one of them opened. There are things that you can buy that are reasonably well priced. That if you buy a couple of bottles, buy a couple or 3 bottles, and one you could keep for an investment, one that you can, or maybe 1 or 2 that you can drink, But once you see sometimes just how much they rise in value, you can. It might not be. It might not be. It might not please your significant other to have opened it up, because some of them do increase quite a lot. The like of the Dreamcast, Redbreast Dreamcasts. The first one is pretty much tripled in value, and it was €500 to start with. I just see a question: are there certain whiskies, brands, etc., that increase in value over others? It's whatever's really sort of flavour of the month. Macallan is always collectible. People just like the whole brand; they like all of that. The likes of there's certain releases, maybe more so than brands, that are more collectible. So Springbank do an annual release, the local barley ones, where they use the barley from around Campbelltown, and those are going to always be collectible. They get snapped up really quick, but the price of them increases, and the reason is because people want to have full collections. It's like the Middleton Very Rares. These always go up in value, because there's always people who want the collection and don't always have it, or the guys have started collecting and they're trying to build up their collection, so they always really go up in value. So yeah, there's certain bottlings probably better than brands that increase in value.
Just one final question is about the dingle sell out. Are they being kept back?
The first dingle was sort of the first of the new wave of distilleries to come online. And when they released their stuff, they released their first bottlings, and the prices of them just skyrocketed. There was a few of them come out just in a slew, and lots of people bought them. Lots of people opened them to taste this brand new spirit from a new distillery, and the prices of them went through the roof. But it's the same as everything else. The first issue of something is always going to be worth an awful lot more than issue number 7, unless Batman appears in it or something. Do you know what I mean? Unless it's a really, really good bottling or something special about it, it's always going to be the first bottling, the first couple of bottlings, that are really going to be where it's at, you know.
And just mentioned
yeah. Hopefully that's not for a long time, Frank. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed it doesn't get opened anytime soon.
All right. The subtitles translate my words for you.
Well, a pleasure talking to you anyway, Justin, my friend, and hopefully we'll get the gremlins sorted out for next week. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week. I'll have to think about that tomorrow. But you're in very good health, everybody. I hope you all have a good week, and stay safe, okay? So that's me. Bye-bye.